Yeah, just double down with value.
Yeah.
Right? Just double down with value, learn what value is, and my biggest piece of like this whole commission concern is value. Just provide value, and learn what value is. Because like when you turn around and you say, "Hey, value is just the direct proportion to what you offer is what you'll get back." At the end of the day, right? The clients don't care. They just want to have the best process. And the word that comes to my mind and that I'm just putting forth is fiduciary. Right? Nobody questions what they pay attorneys because attorneys lead with fiduciary. And too many real estate agents behave like functionaries. All right, yeah, I'll do this. Okay, I'll do that. Versus this is my process. This is what I do. This is the value. And in the absence of value, price is the only conversation, and that's why this whole thing is happening, because what's the value that our industry provides? Well, that's what's at question. I love that. What else we take away today? Right? I've heard the same thing stacked with if it's not on social media, it didn't exist. Sort of same idea, which is don't apologize for being awesome. Right? You do stuff, don't apologize. Let everyone know what you're doing, how you're doing it, how all your wins. So that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. And that goes to stack on that. Every one of my real estate team's meetings, we start with something called a Wiffle. And that's an acronym for what I feel like expressing. And it's the start of every one of my real estate team's meetings, and it's whatever they want to talk about. And it could be a sentence, it could be like 2 or 3 minutes, and no one can interrupt. Everyone goes around and shares their Wiffle. And you start it with what I feel like expressing, and then you end it with that's what I felt like expressing. And then at the end, you can burn, which means you can start asking questions about what that was and what that was. And we've been doing it on our real estate team for going on 3 years now, and it's everyone's favorite part. And that goes back to that emotion, that connection. We're not talking about the deals that we closed. We're vibing at a human level, and that's, I think, adds to that. Everything from hey, I've been intermittent fasting to, hey, my dog, was at the vet last week and we dropped $500. Just vibing, getting stuff out. And of course that takes time, and you don't force anything, but over time, everyone realizes that we're family. We're a team. So great question. And you don't force it. You allow it to organically evolve. But the format has to stay true. Like everyone wants to burn right away, and yeah, you can't jump to the burns. You got to let that kind of go. Yeah. So what I feel like expressing, I went to Lead Up. It was awesome. I met a bunch of people. I taught a class, and everyone left feeling inspired, and that's what I feel like expressing. And then someone else will go, share something, and someone else will go. And then at the end, they'll be like, Lee, how many people were in the class? What did you talk about? And so then they could get curious from a cultural standpoint. That was awesome. Let's do 1 or 2 more. Right? There's no one way. Just find your niche and focus on results. Yeah, I think the magic word of the future is per agent productivity, right? Not numbers, but like, we're all in this together, collaborating, because together we're stronger. Is that a good kind of summary on that? Awesome. All right, so let's get started, shall we? Show of hands, whose first time is this in South Florida? First time in South Florida? Okay, handful. Awesome. First time at a Glover U event? Sweet. Awesome. So my name's Lee Rosa. I am a Glover U coach. I am born and raised here in South Florida. I am one of the few who truly born and raised. I have been in the business 18 years, going on 19. I have a real estate business that sells around 100 homes a year, a business partner of going on 14 years, and I have been the team leader of my real estate office for the last 8. Real estate, so I've been removed from my real estate team for 8 years, and it's still rocking and rolling and going back to, because we're culture rich. Our director of operations on our real estate team has been with us 11 years, and our two top agents have been with us for 7 and 6 years. And that doesn't happen accidentally. And so today's conversation, though, is not about my real estate team, but about a model for a brokerage. Okay, and so we're going to dive into some tactics and operational things. And I'll tell you guys, I am just absolutely grateful for the opportunity for you guys to be here, for me to present in front of you. And so let's dive in. So Teamerage is a system that gives a strategy. It's a system and a strategy to help brokerages stay profitable no matter the market. So that's the underlining principle of Teamerage. It is the best of teams and is the best of brokerages and put them together. That is what Teamerage is. And when you ask, what is it that agents want most? Leads and appointments. So when we look at that, I actually think there's also a third thing, and Jeff touched on it today, and that's structure. And let's put a fourth, culture. They want to feel like they're part of something, family. So how did we get here? How did we get to a model of Teamerage? Well, the truth is the real estate industry, the brokerage industry, has been providing leads to agents from the very beginning. That's how brokerages first came about. In the 70s and 80s, they ran ads to generate leads. In the 90s, relocation came about, and the leads for relocation became pivotal in those brokerages, which then brought us to the 2000s, that's when teams, aggregators, like Dave Ramsey, Agent Machine, technology companies came to the forefront, and they became the dominant channels where agents receive direct leads to consumers. So that's the path of how did we get to where we are today? The brokerages started to be left behind because the team started forming. At the company that we're at, there was a statistic where there are teams in our company that are netting millions and millions of dollars with 6-7 people, and then an entire brokerage with hundreds of agents is netting $200,000. Something's broken. And so this is an opportunity to take the best of teams and plug it into brokerages. The reason brokerages started to hemorrhage money or started to bleed is because they became a la carte and they turned into commodities. The brokerages became commodities. And so real estate agents today want easier access to consumers. They want leads. And they're more than willing to partner to have leads and appointments. I mean, just look at what Zillow attempted to do or is doing. They're saying, hey, you pay me and I will connect you. So, with all that being said, the most profitable real estate brokerages going forward will not only provide broker services, training, support, world-class environment, community, culture, but they will also provide leads and appointments. Why? Because the agents will pay for them. The agents will pay for them. So today we're going to discuss how to run the most profitable, systematic Teamerage experience that you can to provide for your agents. And so the first step in all of this is understanding what a model is. And a model is simply this: borrowing the best thinking. So anytime you hear me say model, just think of it as borrowing the best thinking. So I'll give you a couple examples. If you were to give a toothbrush to a toddler, never saw one before, you just hand it to them. They'll take it, start rubbing it on their arm like this. But you take it and you show, okay, you put it under the water. You put the toothpaste on. Does anyone, after they put the toothpaste, put it back under the water? Yeah, I do too, right? Model. Borrowing the best thinking. Then we start in the back. Then we model how to use a toothbrush. Everything in our industry, everything has models. It's our job as leaders to find them, borrow them, and then promote them or use them and leverage them. So today is a model for Teamerage. There's 6 steps, and we're going to break down the 6. So starting with step number 1. So the first step in creating a Teamerage model is create leads. Sounds simple, but not all leads are created equal. That's the first step. Not all leads are created equal. So the key to any lead generation is understanding that the battle is fought at the top of the funnel. The battle is fought at the top of the funnel. The bottom of the funnel is the appointment. At the top of the funnel is getting registrations, getting them into your world. All top sales organizations understand that top of the funnel is where it all begins. Everyone wants that appointment. Everyone wants the rock and roll. Hey, let me just go on 4 listing appointments, 6 listing appointments a week. But we must focus at the top of the funnel, because the truth of the matter of this industry, and this is it's so lost in day to day, and it's everyone is a buyer or a seller at some point in their life. Everybody is a buyer or a seller at some point. So if someone walks into an open house, they may not be buying today, but at some point they're going to buy, or at some point they're going to know someone who's looking to buy. So all leads are decent, yet all leads can be considered great leads when you look at it as the long game. I'm in this for the long game. I am building a business through lead generation. So there's 2 ways to create top of funnel leads, active and passive. So let's play a little game. What are listings with, so let's start with phone or face-to-face prospecting. So I'm going to give you guys tactics for generating leads. All right, so this is going to be, you're going to have a list of ways to generate leads. So the first is phone or face-to-face, listings without agency. What would be ways that we could generate listings where someone is not already listed? Birds and Fizbos, there it is. So now let's move, that's the answer. So well done. And we have a great program, right, Justin, on how to leverage the telephone in generating for sale by owners and expireds. Second is circle prospecting. What are ways that we can circle prospect? So what are the techniques for circle prospecting? There are 4. Just listed, just sold, that's 2 out of the 4. Neighborhoods, absolutely. And then one that is not used a lot, and yet it's where first-time home buyers lay. Apartment buildings. That is the breeding ground for first-time home buyers. All right, the next opportunity for outbound or prospecting would be community outreach, and that would be charity and volunteer work. Then we have key relationships. And key relationships would be corporations, builders, banks, third-party data companies, and investors. Teaching and speaking opportunities are another way in key relationships. Lunches, meals, dinners, door-to-door canvassing, networking events, booths and kiosks, and of course, walk-ins if that's part of your model. And last, for prospecting, you got text messaging, social media messaging, and email. On the marketing side, so that's active. Let's now go on the passive side. On the passive side, we got advertising. There are 7 ways that we can advertise. Let's do a hot potato on that one. What are ways that we can advertise? I'll check these off as we're doing it. Radio, absolutely. Pay-per-click. Well, social media, yes. That's billboards, yep. Pay-per-click, yep. TV, print, newspapers, magazines, absolutely. Yes, we're going to get there. That is absolutely. So let me close this one out. Bus stop benches. Then we got broadcast, content creation, which is radio and TV. Then we got direct mail, which would be postcards and special events, PR or press. We got news releases and advice columns. Talk about go old school. And then to the sponsorship, we got social media. We got our portals, magazines, billboards, yellow pages. Interesting. But that would be like an Angie's List, right? Like you advertising on the online yellow pages. And then the key kind of in this part here is understand that with both active and passive, there are hybrids of both in between there. And so I'm going to give you guys the ones that cross both active and passive. Farming, events, appreciation events, and our networks or our database. So that was step number one, which is how do we generate leads to fill the top of the funnel? Fill the funnel with leads. These are all the different ways. And think of it as a bicycle wheel. When you look at your business today and building a Teamerage business, think of it as your lead generation as a bicycle wheel. If your bicycle wheel has 2 spokes on it and you are riding it down the street and it hit a pothole, what would happen to the rim? Probably bend, probably break. Yet if you had 6 or 7 spokes on the wheel and it hit the pothole, it's going to hold up just fine. Think of the pothole as a shift in the industry. The more spokes you have filling the top of the funnel, the more recession-proof your business is. And that's why I spent so much time there, because in a hot market, you may stay focused on just a few spokes. But as the market starts to cool, we have to expand to fill the top of the funnel. And now you have every single way you can possibly ever generate a lead. And if I missed one, please point it out. Does anyone have anything that I may have missed? Well done. So yes, absolutely. TikTok, so YouTube, absolutely. Well, people look. Right? People absolutely look. And you'll see when you guys look out here, there's planes that fly up and down here. They fly out of Perry Airport right down the street. And they fly up and everyone looks. I think right now, it's just know all the options. Right now, just know all the options and think, like Jeff says, you always want 2 to 3 and then a couple supplementary. So you focus on your couple for sure. You don't go wide, I'm going to do 13, but you have your 2 to 3 and then you have your supplementary where you have the skill set to do so when you have to pull it out of the bag. Like if you're overwhelmed with appointments, clearly you don't want to go wide on your leads. You'd stay focused on what you have, right? You are the rainmaker in this conversation, right? We're not saying, hey agents, you can do this, you can do this. This is a structured, and we're going to get into the structure of this shortly. Yeah. So yeah, and that leads sort of some of these, but absolutely, you have promotional items, right? That's technically swag. All right, you guys ready for step 2? Organizational chart. So step 1 was leads, 2 is your org chart. There are 5 pieces to an org chart in Teamerage, and you don't have to have all of them right off the bat. This is where we would expand to. So think of level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. So the first, in no particular order, I'm going to just name them down in 5. And then as I describe each one, you decide where it fits perfectly. So the first is a director of lead generation. And a director of lead generation markets prospects to generate leads. So they prospect, they market to generate leads. They find new lead sources. They have a goal of minimizing cost per lead. They train sales agents, and they train sales agents on 3 things: skills, role play, and they have one-on-one coaching and accountability. Second position, database manager. This one is vital. A clean database is vital to long-term success. This person is extremely disciplined in assuring that tags, stages, and notes are updated. Anyone in here that runs a highly successful real estate business, you know that if your database is a mess, at some point, the cards are going to break down. The cards are going to fall at some point. So this person gets their energy from I's dotted, T's crossed. We're making sure everything's tagged. People are moving down the pipeline in the CRM, and they hold the agents accountable to the database. So position 3, the ISA, or inside sales agent. This is the professional relationship maker. They make first contact with a lead and follows up over time. They embrace speed to lead. They live and breathe speed to lead. They follow a prescribed frequency and intensity, like a 10 days of pain. Like we drop what we're doing to make the call, and at the very least say, hey, I'm happy we talked. May I call you back at 3 o'clock? They determine now business versus future business. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. That's determining where they are in the funnel. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. All right, so moving to number 4, the transaction coordinator, TC. TC ensures every client gets a 5-star experience, contract to close, and you can hire or leverage this out. You can hire or leverage this one out. I didn't have this in my notes, but it just popped in my head. Creating a value proposition for retaining people inside this world. Consider when we talk about a transaction coordinator and or an operations person, not database manager, but we're talking operations, that if you can help the agents inside that inside Teamerage, if you can help them stay in their lane, prospect, present, lather, rinse, repeat, prospect, present, and you handle everything outside of that, CMAs, scheduling showings, I'm talking everything, the odds of them going to greener pastures becomes less and less, because then now they're trading split for time. And depending on how much value you can create, the amount of stickiness you will have inside this. Does that make sense? Cool. And then that brings us to number 5, which I touched on in number 1, which is a field agent. This is an agent that's out in the field. Good. It's what 1 was, but 1 the director of lead generation then becomes a leadership position when you have the field agents. Like you're not going to start with 5 or 6 agents. We're going to start with 1 agent that's the director of lead generation, which technically in this example would be the field agent. Does that make sense? How I just kind of move that? Like you're not going to start with 5 positions. That's a lot of overhead, and you're going to build to it. So once we start building out and we have a director of lead generation, we have a database manager, we have an ISA generating appointments, deals that go under contract, when we have a transaction coordinator, well, now we're going to have agents. And that's what I'm referring to right now. And they're going to build rapport, they're going to maintain confidence and trust, and they're going to do consultations and presentations. Part of your attraction is the structure. Right? So if you have, let's say, 300, 200, 100 agents in your office, and you say, hey, here's a system that I'm creating. This is all you're going to have to do, and yet here's the structure. That's an attraction. So yes, they become the ISA or the person generating the appointments and going, but they would have never had the top of the funnel that we've created. Does that make sense? All right, so once we have leads, we know now where we're building or how we're going to build. Step 3 is qualifying leads. CRM. However, what I found personally is that unless there's accountability in the database, think of it as, here's how I like to explain this, and I like to use a visual. Imagine you have a pit bull, an aggressive dog, or a chihuahua that's aggressive. Let's use a chihuahua that anytime something walks by it, yep. And you have it on a long leash. It has the opportunity, because it's over there, to bite something, right? Or cause an issue. But if you know that the dog has a behavior of being aggressive, you would put it on a short leash and you'd still walk it, because if it wants to go, you're here and you can pull. What I found is if you give agents a long leash in a database, it becomes an absolute disaster. And so the purpose here is once you get to a level, there's a 1 person who's making sure that the database is moving in the right direction at all times. We're not going to start with a database manager, right? We would be hiring out of step, if you will. Like that can be managed at the beginning by 1 person. It could be managed by you. It could be managed by, right? If you brought the right agent on at the beginning, it can all be the same and evolve to it. So think of this entire breakout as all I'm doing is I'm expanding your mind to the possibility thinking. All right, so think of a hair tie. When you first get it, it's super tight on the wrist. You take it off and you do this. It never goes back to the same tightness. That's all I'm doing right now is I'm showing you where it can go. And those that have the experience of a database gone wild, this totally makes sense. Oh yes, there should be someone there, because at first you don't even think about it until a nuclear bomb goes on. You actually look and you're like, why do I have 293 tags? Like what? But if you don't, fair. No, it is the only 5. And so we're speaking one language, and so let me share, right? No. So the 5 is practice and role play, generate leads, follow up on leads, go on appointments, and negotiate contracts. And so kind of we're going to get to this in step 4, but my take on any agent inside Teamerage spends 80% of their day doing those 5 things. So if they do not have appointments or anything to negotiate, they are practicing and role playing, generating leads, and following up on leads. There is nothing else to do, and that's part of the structure, which is going to be step 4. All right, so step 3 is qualifying leads, database oriented. And so once a lead is generated, someone needs to qualify them, understanding why they inquired and when they wish to transact. So any lead that comes in, they have to be contacted. And in that conversation, we want to learn why they contacted us, what was the inquiry about, and when they plan to transact. We are determining now business versus future business. Future leads are labeled, and I'm giving you guys tactics right now. Future leads, this is database tactics. Future leads are labeled or tagged with 3 categories: hot, nurture, watch. There are 3 categories of what hot, nurture, and watch are. So I'm going to give you guys what hot, nurture, and watch are. So hot would be 0 to 90 days. They're looking to transact in the next 90 days. When I came up in real estate, my first mentor shared with me, the more closings you want to do, the tighter your definition of a lead has to be. And so if your definition of a lead is someone with a pulse, odds are you're not closing a lot of real estate. Yet if your definition of a lead is someone looking to do business in the next 15 days, and that's what you call a hot lead, and you're accountable to a certain amount of those, you're having fierce conversations with everyone that's coming through. Does that make sense? And that's, so you can tighten this in any way. I'm giving you a best practice, but y'all run it the way you choose. So there's 3 categories. Hot would be 0 to 90 days. Nurture, 90 days or 3 months to a year. And watch, year plus. They're out. The next step is warm connection to the agent, or if that person who's having that conversation, warm connection. And the one we all want, appointment. That's the last piece. That's now business. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a few. Any questions on qualifying leads? Because we're going to now jump into building the team, training, and accountability, which is step 4 of 6. Building the team, training, and accountability. So who are we looking for? So what I'm going to give you now is the definition of the agent, the characteristics of who it is we're looking for. We want to choose the right agent with the right skills that embrace accountability. We want them hungry and super responsive. Super responsive. We want them moderately tech savvy. In other words, they don't have to be tech gurus. We also don't want them, well, I only use 3x5 cards. But they're willing to buy into your tech stack. They're willing to buy into your technology systems. Things to train on. Pipeline management. Train with this model. Remember, borrowing the best thinking. I do. We do. You do. Watch me. I'll watch you. Now you go. I do, we do, you do. Role play, real play. Trading on the market of the moment. So right now it's commissions. Market that was is multiple offer situations. What is the market of the moment? Back in the day it was short sales, beat to lead, beat to offer. Now it's value, presenting value. Jeff shared to add to training would be the sales rocket, white labeling sales rocket. I'm going to throw out some scripts here that I think are vital to building out the training. One is how to schedule consultations, the skill set of scheduling consultations. One of the most important ones when representing buyers is getting them to speak to your lender, getting really good at that. LP Mama, location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage or cash, appointment. That's LP Mama. That script changed the course of my entire career. Now, one of the exercises I've done with my brokerage and my team is I'll have them mastermind on all the different questions you could ask for location, or motivation, or mortgage or cash. Not are you qualified, it's where would you like your payments? If you found the perfect home, where would you like your payments? How much cash would you like to put towards that to make sure that you could get that payment? Same thing as asking, what do you want to buy? The buyer consultation. So, role play, real play, buyer consultations. Writing strong offers. Helping the buyer write strong offers and not lowball. Then, of course, listing presentations. Working with expireds and FSBOs. And most importantly, which is what I believe we should always start with new agents, is objection handlers. Start with objection handlers. Get them comfortable in what they're going to get blasted with first, and then work on the dialogues. Building a shadow program. That's as we're moving through building the team, training and accountability, build a shadow program. This creates audiences, this creates energy, and it creates confidence. Have accountability sessions where they will be coached on opportunities of improvement and strategies to reach their goals. Purposeful lead follow-up. Here's the dialogue for that. What was your goal? How'd you do? How do you feel about that? Based on that, what do we need to do next? What's your goal? How'd you do? Based on your goal, how do you feel about the results? And based on that, what do we need to do next week? Next question. How many people do you have in your pipeline? Database management. Are all tasks completed, and do all contacts have future tasks? Are they automated? We have automation set up. So remember, we're sitting down with an agent. We're sitting down. We're having a conversation. This is a checklist to assure that they're moving forward in your organization, in your Teamerage. Do all seller leads have an email set up for a market update, neighborhood update, value? And do all buyers have an automated saved search? Then sit down and talk about all their hot buyers and what we need to do to get them under contract. And a general rule, last but not least, general rule, no agent should have any more than 100 people in their pipeline. Step 5 is nurture future business. So we got now business, which gets forwarded immediately, future business, which is part of the pipeline. Simple, right? Now business gets forwarded to agents, future business is now put in a pipeline. Yeah, so for example, Sisu creates a leaderboard. You can have a dry erase board that says appointments, contracts, conversations. You can come with whatever metric you want, but housing competition. So if you have 2 agents, 3 agents, the amount of appointments scheduled or the amount of contracts written, what do you want to get more of? Let's get it on a board and put a spotlight on it. That's what I mean by leaderboard. All right, so this part right here, remember we talked about the 3 stages. We talked about hot, nurture, and watch. So we're gonna break down hot. Ready, willing, and able. They're looking to do business within 90 days. The tactic of converting, we're gonna have a voice conversation with them at least once a week. So we know they're looking to do business in the next 90 days. We are going to have, this is a tactic, we're gonna have a conversation once a week. So if this is your ISA, if this is your agents, this is what our rules are for a hot lead. We're gonna email with information that's important to them or that they would see with value at least once a week. That could be MLS, that could be your CRM or your website. Something that they would see valuable at once a week. And what's going on in the neighborhood or neighborhoods that they're interested in. Nurture. Remember, these are 90 to 1 year. So 3 months to a year. We want to touch them twice a month because we are cultivating the relationship. When it comes to connecting with leads, top of the funnel, the name of the game is this: emotional proximity. Emotional proximity is whoever's closest to a lead when they are ready to do business. So when you have the people 90 to 1 year, 6 months, 8 months, we want to be in emotional proximity with them so that when they're ready to do business, we are top of mind, not the person who random or they went on Zillow that one time and boom. We want emotional proximity. When they think of real estate, we want them thinking of our brand because we're providing value. We want to send them real estate information on buying and selling. That, of course, is based on their needs. We're going to send them weekly updates on their saved searches once a week. And one time a month, neighborhood information. If you choose to do it every other week, it's up to you. And then watch, which is more than a year out. These are folks that are just casually browsing. The real estate voyeur. They're just out there kind of looking. A monthly phone call, of course, to create emotional proximity. And have a saved search with neighborhood information that goes to them once a month. Every other week. They get called once a month, one call a month, but they're getting information either once a month or every other week. It's up to you how frequently you want to do it. Let's just say a case-by-case basis. And you could ask the question, how often would you like information? The two other categories in your CRM would be your pool. And think of the pool as, hey, these are all the folks that kind of don't match any of that. And then the last is dead or archive. Watch was, so it's the lowest frequency. Because remember, they're just casually browsing. So once a month phone call or 6 weeks. Because we want to see if something changed. How can we provide better value? So think of this as top of the funnel coming down. So step 6 is kind of the last little bit and super quick. We want to name the team. Makes sense. We want to create standards. We want a partnership agreement. This is a contract business. We want a contract that dots the I's, crosses the T's with anyone that comes into our organization. And last and most important, have a standard that the agents in your office that are not part of this team will never lose to your team. They will always be subordinate to the team. In other words, if someone in the office schedules a for sale by owner appointment and your team schedules a for sale by owner appointment, we are not going to go in competition with an agent in your brokerage as the broker owner. You will always be subordinate to the agents in your team. This is vital because if you, as the broker owner, if your agents think that you're in competition with them, that is going to breed a culture of not okay. We are not in competition. There's an abundance of business. There's so much abundance of business, we will always back down if we know we're going up against you. We will never go head to head with anyone inside our brokerage. This is the most vital part of Teamerage. Because otherwise, you're a competing broker. And that's not the goal of Teamerage. The goal of Teamerage is we're providing a value. We're providing a service to the agents inside the brokerage that should they choose to be part of this model, we will always win. And the agents in our brokerage will always win. Because when the Teamerage model closes more business, that's more signs, that's more closings, that's more market share, that everyone under that flag wins. So look at today, and thank you guys for sticking around. I mean, this was a lot of info. And so when you look at what you learned today, use this as a framework. So you have your business model, and then you have folks that don't necessarily fit into your brand, but you want them under your brokerage. This can be an opportunity that is not that. So Glover U has a course called Team Building, and it's led through mission, vision, values, belief, and perspectives, and it's kind of a sister or a side piece of what we talked about today. But hopefully you guys got a little bit of value out of today. Hopefully your hands are okay. And with that being said, my name's Lee, and thanks for coming.